Okay, so hi everyone. Today we are going to solve a problem together. So we're doing some more work with story problems. So I wrote the story problem up here on the board and I'm going to read it out loud. So it says, 2/5 of the 1-acre garden are planted with flowers. The rest of the garden is planted in vegetables. 2/3 of the vegetable section is tomatoes. What fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes? So, to start us off, we're just going to pick apart the story problem. So, I have a different color to help us. So, we're just going to underline some key points here, okay? So, says 2/5 of the 1-acre garden are planted with flowers. So let's underline 2/5. 2/5. Let's see, planted with flowers, okay? Then it says the rest of the garden is planted in vegetables. Okay, 2/3 of the vegetable section is tomatoes. So 2/3 is tomatoes. And now we want to circle back to what exactly we are looking for in this problem, which typically is the sentence that ends in a question mark. So that would be our last sentence. So it says, what fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes? So let's review. Fraction is a part of a whole, right? So we're looking for that missing part. So a great way to start off this problem is to draw a visual. So I am going to draw our one acre garden. So I'm just gonna draw like a rectangle of some sort. So sure you can see that. All right, let's draw my garden. Oops, that's what happens when you're not looking at the board. All right, so this whole square would be my 1-acre garden. So I'm just gonna write that down here. 1-acre garden, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is we are going to divide this garden into fifths. Now I chose fifths, even though it says on the problem it says 2/5 or 2/3, we're gonna do 2/5 because later on we're going to further divide the 2/3 into fifths. But it makes the most logical sense to divide this garden into fifths. So that's what we're going to do. So remember, when you are dividing, you want to draw one less line than the bottom number. So 2/5, we're going to draw 4 lines, not 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, okay? So it says 2/5 of the 1-acre garden are planted with flowers. Okay, so let's just, maybe draw with some flowers. So those are flowers. So that's 1/5. We need 2. Then you don't have to make it super detailed like mine, but I just wanted to have a little visual. Hopefully that looks like a flower. So that is our 2/5 with flowers. So I'm actually going to label that down here so we don't forget. 2/5 flowers. Okay. Now our problem says The rest of the garden is planted in vegetables. So if this section is 2/5, then the rest of it would be everything that is untouched, everything that's not labeled. So this is the rest of it. So this part is our 2/5 flowers. And then this part over here, the rest of it is our, well, it would be 3/5 vegetables, right? 3/5 vegetables. It doesn't tell us that in the problem, but I was able to figure that out because if we take a number line, for example, okay, and we have fifths here, right? We divided it into fifths. So I'm gonna do the same thing to our number line over here, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So every number line starts off as 0. So if our number line goes up to fifths, then the last line would be 5/5, which is also the same thing as saying 1. And we're starting at 0. So that would be 0/5. And then we can go ahead and label the rest of our number line. So it would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. Okay? So right now, right now this is our flower section. And I know that this is 3/5 because 2 plus 1, 2, 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. All right, so this section is 2 and the rest is 3. Okay, good. Now what we need to determine is 2/3 of the vegetable section is tomatoes. So can you see that number line? I'm actually going to erase it now because I need some more workspace and kind of ran out. So just wanted to show you that little visual. Okay, so it says 2/3 of the vegetable section is tomatoes, right? So this is our vegetable section, and it claims that 2/3 is tomatoes. And it wants to know what fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes. So what we need to do is we need to find something that's called a common denominator. And you may be wondering, well, what operation are we doing with this problem? How do we know what to do? Is it addition? Is it subtraction? Is it multiplication? Is it division? I have no idea. Well, a one telltale sign of how to figure out what operation this problem is would be the word of. What fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes? Our word of, can you see that? Our word of indicates multiplication. So we are multiplying. Remember, we want to find out a part of a part. So we want to find out 2/3 times, or of 3/5. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to find a common denominator. So if we have 3/5 here and we need 2/3, I know that the easiest way to find a common denominator is by just multiplying the other denominator by itself. So over here we have 2/3, and over here we have 3/5. Okay. You could do that, but you could also do 2 times, you could also just multiply across. I was thinking of a more complex way of doing times 5 and then times 3 and times 5 up here because you have to do the same. And then 10, 15, 3/5, 9/15. So our 2/3 is our tomatoes. So now we have our common denominator. We're just gonna keep going with this way. So the best way to go about this is to divide the 3/5 into 15ths. So to do that, 1, 2, 3, 5 sections across. So now we have 15. And to find our 2/3, we now know that 2/3 is the same as saying 10/15. So 2/3 is equal to 10/15, right? So this section would be our tomatoes. So let's color that in. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10/15 would be our 2/3, and this would be our answer. Our answer would be 2/5. Because this part and this part, if you line them up, it's the same thing and it's equal. So hold on, teacher is thinking. So our answer would be 2/5, because technically what we did with this side is we just divided it deeper, but we didn't change the garden at all. All we were doing was just furthering dividing it on this side, but it's still going to be the same garden, right? We're not changing its shape in any way, shape, or form. We're just dividing it into smaller pieces. But if you look up here, you'll notice that it's still divided into fifths. It's just that this 3/5 side is divided smaller into 15ths. So if you're really looking at it now, this, and this are all equal. So this is 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. And we know that these are 2/5 of flowers. And this is also 2/5. And this is our other fifth. So with that, our answer would be 2/5. Remember, our question was what fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes? Our answer would be 2/5 of the garden is planted with tomatoes. And I guess this other section would be a different type of vegetable because we know that it's in the problem that those 2/5 are flowers and these 3/5 are vegetables. And it wants to know, well, what fraction of the vegetables is tomatoes? And it would be 2/5 because we found a common denominator. We needed to find 2/3 of 3/5 and simplify that, and we got 2/5 divided by 3. Yeah, so I know where I made a mistake, and I actually didn't make a mistake. I was having a thinking moment. But if you take a look over here, I'm going to pull this a little closer so you can see better. What I had going was correct. I think I was just a little confused. But basically, I was just trying to break it down into smaller pieces so it kind of made more sense visually. But basically, if you wanted to take the shorter alternative, you could have basically just said, because it's asking what fraction of the garden is planted with tomatoes. So we want to know 2/3 of 3/5. So honestly, we could just multiply across because we can do that with multiplying fractions. We can multiply across, but when we're adding, we have to find that common denominator. That's where I messed up. But yeah, you can just multiply across. So 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. And then we can simplify that to, well, I know that 3 can go into both of these. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our answer would be 2/5, which is actually exactly what we got right here. So that's the faster, easier way if you just want to multiply. But this way that I showed helps the visual learner break it down and understand within the part whole of finding your missing fraction. So yeah, answer is 2/5 is planted with tomatoes.